Hello everyone, you're welcome to 2025. Thank you so much for making year 2024 a memorable one for me. My community is growing gradually and I have all of you to thank for that. My wish for you is that you have all your heart desires fulfilled this year. It's our first tutorial for the year and I'll be showing you how to cut and sew an high waist corporate skirt. Right here is my fabric. It's 1.5 yard of crepe. This is my hemming gum. This is my preferred zipper. I would also be using ST. This is cotton ST. I'll be starting with my crepe. So I have folded into two, as you can see. I have also come down by 1 inch from the rough edge downward. So that becomes my starting point. The first thing I will do is to indicate the hip line of my clients. I'll be using 10 inches. It's for this is an high waist skirt, don't forget. So from that line, I will be marking the length of the skirt, which is 32 inches, and I'll be adding 2 inches hemming allowance to it. So 1.5 is going to be for the hem of the skirt, the remaining half is going to be for the waist. So right here, I will be marking half inch at the center of my front piece. I'm going to mark this half inch all the way to the hem of the skirt. I will tell you why as time goes on, but for now, let's make it a step at a time so I don't confuse you. So this is the length of the skirt and this is the allowance. I'll be indicating a knee area. So what I do at the points of measurements, I measured a knee, then I minus 2 inches from it just for me to come up a little from my knee. So this is the hip line. We mark 10 inches. Do not forget it's an high waist skirt. Right here, I will divide our waist by 4 and add 1 inch sewing allowance to it. Our waist is 38.5 divided by 4 plus sewing allowance. 1 inch sewing allowance gave me 10.6. Our hip is 50 divided by 4 plus 1 inch gives me 13.5. So I'm just going to connect together. I will go over to our nail length and minus what I have at the hip area. At the hip area, I have 13.5, so minus 1 gives me 12.5. So I'll mark 12.5 at our knee area, then I'll connect one more time. Finally, I will go over to the length of the skirt and I will minus half from what I have at the knee area. So I have, don't forget that I have 12.5 at the knee area. So minus half will give me 12 inches. So I'll mark 12 inches at the hem of the skirt. So I have different method. I have about 3 methods that I use in cutting skirts. It depends on, there are certain things I consider before deciding on the method that I use. One of them is the body size of my client. So this person is a plus size. That is why I have decided to adopt this method. I won't be contouring our butt. It is going to make the butt so conspicuous. So I'm just going to adopt this and it's still going to come out very well. Can you see how I slanted that edge? I have talked about this in a couple of my tutorials, so I won't be going over that again. This is what we have. This is the front piece. I also hope you notice that my measurement started from the half inch. This is for the back piece and I marked 1.5 inch for zipper allowance. So I want to align this half inch on the zipper allowance. Can you see? So I'll go ahead and do this all the way to the hem of the skirt. So the next thing I will do is to extend the back waistline by 1 inch. That's going to be for my dart. I will draw it all the way to the hip line and then I'll go ahead to cut. So basically the back piece has there are two things that differentiates the back from the front. The zipper, which is 1.5 inch, you can choose to use 1 inch, and then the extension at the waist, which is for that. I'll come down by 1 inch at the center of the front piece. I will slant it all the way to the side of the front piece, and then I will trim that off. Don't forget to lift up the front piece so you don't mistakenly cut it together with the back. So this is what I have. Before I open it up, I will just give the knee area a notch. I'll come to the hip area and give it a notch as well. So I will, from the waist of the back piece, I'll come down by say 9 or 9.5. I'll use 9.5 inches. Remember, I gave this skirt 2 inches seam allowance. 1.5 is going to be for the M, and then the remaining half is going to be for the waist, to turn the waist. So from that 1.5, I'm going to exclude that 1.5 from my measurements, and then I'll mark how long I want the slit to be. So I have decided I will stitch. When I get to 9.5, I will reverse it. I will continue stitching. When I get it, I will reverse, then I will continue to the hem of the skirt. So I have stitched. I will, the next thing is to take the darts. I've taken half of a nipple measurement, that's 4 inches. I marked half inch on both sides, and then I decided on how long I want the darts to be. So I'm just confirming if what I have up is what I have right here. This exact thing I did here, I'll repeat it on the other side as well. That's why I stitched that straight line first, so that it can guide me. Half of a nipple to nipple measurement is 4. So I'm just going to mark half inch on both sides and I'll connect. I have stitched the dart. So I have opened up the front piece, as you can see. So I want that button to be on the right side, but as the fabric is facing me, it looks like it's on the left side. So I'm going to mark about 5 inches there. I'll come here and mark like 6, and then I will connect the line together just with a straight line. This is what I have. The next thing I will do is to slit that place open. So we will flip over like this and stitch, but before we stitch, we are going to insert something. So remember that when I folded the front piece, I gave it half inch, right? So it is that half inch that we are going to use to stitch together at this point. Hope you understand. But before we stitch, I have cut this piece. It's 4 inches wide, and it's the same length with the skirt. With the skirt, the hemming allowance, everything is the same length. So I'm just going to fold it into two like this. I will place this piece on it, and I will pin. Ensure all edges align, then pin. I'll continue this process till I get to the hem of the skirt, and I'll go ahead to stitch with half inch that we give it that time. Can you see? This is what we have. Before I proceed, I have overlocked this region. Can you see? So I will flip it like this, and I'm going to stitch. So this process is called top stitching. So I have top stitch. Can you see? So I have cut my hemming gum the same length with the skirt. I will use my pin to pass it to the other side. So when I'm done with the aid of a steam iron, I'm going to give that region a very good press. I just want that fabric to be flat a little. Look at what I have. I think it's beautiful. So at this is the best time to insert to stitch your buttons. So right here, I'm just going to come down by like 0.7, and then I'm going to mark my preferred button allowance all the way to the end. So I've decided to use about 5 inches. So I'm just going to mark that all the way. I will mark one more. I won't mark again. If I mark, I'll just be left with the sewing allowance. So I'm just going to stop. Can you see? I have attached the button. This is the hem of the skirt. Remember 1.5 inch hemming allowance we gave it the other time. So that's what I'm marking. I'll go over to my sewing machine, fold like this, and stitch. So I have stitched. I will pass the hemming gum the exact way I did for that flap the other time. And then I will come right here and place my hemming gum like this. They are the same length. So I'm going to put it there. This is the slit. I'm just going to give this region a very good press. I like to use hemming gum for my slit as well. It gives it this inexplainable effect. I really love to use hemming gum for my slit. So I am going to stitch the hem of the back piece. Remember our 1.5 inch hemming allowance. That's what I'm marking. Then I'll go and stitch. I'll do that for the other side as well. Can you see? I have passed the hemming gum. I have done likewise for the back piece. Can you see how flat it is? I did that for the back as well. I have gone ahead to place the front and the back piece together, right side facing the right side. Just try and flatten your fabric. Be sure that there is no unnecessary folding. So our waist, which is 38.5 divided by 2, that's what I marked. So I'm just going to share the allowance on both sides of the skirt. This is the hip area. I'm able to locate it because I notched it. So our hip is 50 divided by 2 is 25. So I have marked, I'm going to share the allowance. Right here, I am going to minus like 2.5 inches. So I will minus 2.5 inches from 25 inches, which is half of our hip measurement. So whatever allowance I have left will be shared on both sides of the skirt. When I'm done with this, I would go over to the hem of the skirt and make it even more narrower. So I'm going to minus 3.5 inches from 25 inches, which is half of our hip measurement. And I'm going to share whatever allowance I have left on both sides of the skirt. I noticed an excess here, so I'm just going to trim. You can pencil your skirt even more. My client wants a bit of comfort. That's why I'm using this. You can pencil it even more. If you look at this hip area, you will see that it's pointy. So I'm just going to eliminate that. In case you are wondering if it will reduce the measurements of the hip area, It won't, trust me. It will sit well on my client. I have stitched on both sides of the skirt and I have overlocked, as you can see. So normally I would have just folded like this, but because I ironed hemming gum on at the hem of this skirt, it will be very difficult to later open it up in if I ever need to work on this skirt, if I need to pencil it more or do any adjustment for that matter. That's why I stitched straight down and I overlocked it the way I did. I have gone ahead to insert the zipper, as you can see. So the only thing we are left with is the facing for the waist. I've turned it the wrong side, as you can see, and I have folded my my skirt into two. The zipper, which was formerly at the back, is now on the side. Can you see? You would also notice that I opened the zipper up and I'm tracing it with my chalk. I am done cutting. I'm just going to decide how wide I want the facing to be. I think I will just use 2 1/4. I'll go ahead and iron a stay on it. Then I would overlock the edges. Can you see? I overlocked the edges. So I'm going to place the right side of the facing on the right side of my skirt. I stitch all around with 1/2 inch. This is what I have. You would also notice that opened up the zipper allowance and then I went ahead to top stitch. So go ahead and fold it like this. Stitch first at the edge like this. Fold like this, like I said earlier. Stitch first at the edge, then stitch closely to the zipper. When you are done with this, you can just use your needle and thread to hold the facing down. So this is the final outlook. This lace is bulgy. It's a bulky kind of. Um, you can slant it like this. You can use your scissors to just trim that part a little. What would I do differently if I were to make this skirt again? Is that I wouldn't use 1.5 inch zipper allowance that I used for the sake of this region that is bulging out. Instead, I'll use about 1 inch, better still 0.75. That would be perfect. So we've come to the end of the tutorial. This is the slit. I have opened it up even more. That's the hem, and this is the front part of the skirt. Next is what it looks like on my client. So after this session with her, I felt I could pencil it a little more. So at that knee area where I initially minus 2.5 from half of her hip measurement, I went back there and I increased it to minus 4.5. And at the hem of the skirt where I initially minus 3.5 from half of her hip measurement, I went back there and I increased it to 5 inches. So I share 5 inches on both sides of the skirt, likewise the knee area. With this, we've come to the end of the tutorial. Thank you so much for watching. Do well to like, share, and subscribe to my channel. Bye.